Good afternoon, West Ham fans. So is it a case of, Julien, we're going back to the future? Yes, everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. It's Thursday, and thank Christ, Premier League football is back this weekend. The Julian Lopetegui press conferences later on this afternoon. We're bringing it to the highlights of that, as we always do. But I wanted to talk, and actually, while we've got you here quickly, don't forget tonight we have got Gatesy from the West Ham Massive hosting the big debate. We do it every month. A panel. Come on, your questions, their opinions. So make sure you come along. Yours truly will be on the panel. And then afterwards, Gatesy and a couple of the panel members will be on the West Ham Massive with the aftermath, which is obviously the aftermath of the debate show. So you don't necessarily have to subscribe to Gatesy's channel straight away, because we'll put a redirect. So you won't even have to press a finger. You have to raise a finger in order to get over there. And then obviously subscribe to Gatesy's channel after that. But I want to talk about the future. Is Tim Steidten our own little Doc Brown, as the thumbnail suggests? It took me ages to find the right picture for that. But obviously we've always, there's a big aspiration to be able to talk about the Brighton model and the sort of conveyor belt of transfers and players. One goes, but they bring another one in. And arguably, you could look at our 9 transfers we brought in and look at Luis Guilherme as someone who fits that model in terms of being bought on potential and eventually getting into the first team. Indeed, we interviewed, when Holly interviewed Tim Vickery, he spoke quite openly about the fact that Lewis is not obviously the most experienced person. He's very much been bought on potential rather than necessarily the finished article. And I believe, and again, we'll talk about it in a little bit more detail in a bit, but I believe he has been brought in to be Kudus's replacement eventually. That's my view. But it seems that it's not just that. It seems that it's that we've been linked in the last sort of 48 hours, 72 hours, with a number of young players who fit that same model. And so I thought we'll go through that, because it's really important. I think we've got this sort of plan in place, and the first one is this gentleman, Sindra Whale Egili, and apparently we've been scouting him from Norslad ahead of a potential transfer, along with the likes of Newcastle, Brentford, Palace, Brighton as well, for the 18-year-old, who is likened to Iron Robin. He only recently put a pen to paper on a new deal with the Norwegian club to keep him at the club until the summer of 2028. But there is a huge belief internally that he's unlikely to still be playing in Norway by the time 2026 rolls in. Obviously, as I said, the likes of Luis Guilherme, he's one for the future, definitely. Somerville. I think us as fans have maybe got to have not dialed on the expectations, but people go, oh, Luis, he's not even in the squad. But he was being bought clearly for the future rather than the now. He will be in the squad now because obviously you've moved people on like Cornet and stuff who maybe were a little bit ahead of him, maybe in the squad to start off with. But he's definitely one who I think will come in. We'll see a few games with him, the odd cup game, 20 minutes there, 10 minutes there. And then maybe next season, definitely more of him. However, it's, so we speak about the interest of, clubs will have towards Mohamed Kudus, and someone like Egeli could be the next one to be brought in, if that makes sense. We clearly have a succession plan, and we're going to continue building this succession plan in terms of our key players and the next one coming. Don't forget, also we've got George Earthy as well, who's currently on loan at Bristol City. But Egeli has scored 3 goals and 1 assist in just 4 starts for the Norwegian side this season. Obviously, standard of football, in the Norwegian league is not comparable at all to the Premier League, but that's still impressive for an 18-year-old, in my opinion. You look at other Norwegian players who've come through, Haaland, Odegaard. It makes it clear that it's worth keeping an eye on that market. There's two very good Norwegian players in the Premier League. Arguably, two of the best players in the Premier League are Norwegian. Now, I'd be surprised to see if this deal completes when January comes in, but I think it's more likely to keep one in the summer potentially. And it's sort of serendipitous, circle of life. Norsled obviously was where Mohamed Kudus arrived from Ghana, from the Dream program, before moving to Ajax and then obviously to West Ham. And also it's the same Norwegian club we dealt with last summer, the summer previously, not this one, just gone, over Ibrahim Osman. Where we remember we negotiated with the wrong agent, and he eventually went to Brighton, although he's on loan to Feyenoord, I think, now. So it's showing this sort of Brighton model, definitely. And I said, and I genuinely believe that Luis Guilherme has been brought in as a replacement for Kudus. Kudus's release clause kicks in next summer again, £85 million. He's going to have a line of clubs lined up for him, and interest in him from a lot of top clubs. Whether he goes is another matter, but it seems there's this contingency plan in place, and that's the name of the game. Really, it's having that next one ready, so you're not short. And to go on with that, obviously, Mohamed Kudus, one of the players we potentially could. Lucas Paqueta is another one. We have the trial. The hearing will be probably around January time next year, and then we'll see where we are with that. But it seems that maybe we're scouting for Paqueta's potential replacement as well, because reports from Sport Blind suggest that the Hammers have intensified our interest in the Hertha Berlin 18-year-old attacking midfielder Ibrahim Mazza, is a guy we've spoken about before. It was reported that he was keen on leaving the second division side during the summer, but nothing materialised. Us, Brighton, Brentford have all been interested in him, as well as Stuttgart and FC Augsburg. They've all chased him apparently in the last window. The German under-20 international graduated from the Hertha Berlin youth system and made his way into the first team in 2023. He's clocked in less than 600 minutes from 13 games last season, managed a goal and assist, but Sport Blind said that Hertha Berlin are looking for about €10 million for him. Apparently, they've got no plan to sell him, and they're actually working to extend his contract. But again, similar to Egeli, although his current deal runs out in 2027, but although they don't want to sell him, they're thinking realistically, clubs are going to come in for him because of what he does. He's managed, I think this season he's played 5 games, a couple of goals, a couple of assists already this year. He's only made 20 appearances for first team appearances for Hertha Berlin, with 4 goals and 3 assists across them. But if he continues, but it's his sort of game management, it's his game play, which is getting people interested. And if he continues to perform at the level he's performing at for an 18-year-old, the likes of us, Brighton, Brentford, could come back in for him for sure in the coming windows. But again, it's showing that we are planning for the future. The development of someone like George Earthy. We've been seeing a lot of, particularly in the off-season, in sort of this international period, a lot of the youngsters, a lot of the academy players have been around the first team in terms of the videos that the club have put out. The likes of Junior Robinson, the likes of Ollie Skulls, Cam Schweier, these guys. Well, I don't think Cam's probably really got it, but definitely Ollie and Junior definitely could have it. So planning for the future. And, particularly on that left back situation, obviously we'll talk about Emerson in a bit, but, obviously the Turkish league closes the transfer window. I think it's Is it Monday? I think it's Monday or Sunday, something like that. And one out, and again, this was probably one that we did buy for the future, is potentially Luis Al, who could join Turkish Superliga side Eurospor before their summer deadline summer transfer deadline closes. That's according to UOL. The news outlet reported that the Turkish side are seeking a loan move for the Brazilian. The deadline tomorrow. Transfer deadline is tomorrow. No official bid has been made, but it said that they are speeding up negotiations in the coming days. Apparently, during the summer transfer window, or the English summer transfer window, and the European one, Stoke City apparently inquired about him, and clubs in Belgium and France also had been in discussions, but nothing came to fruition. And as I said, he was still playing in the under-21s. He played the full 90 minutes last game I saw when they beat Norwich 1-0. And it was felt as if Luizao was destined to stay in the academy yet again for this season. But despite that, there is still a way out. And to be honest, I think it's time for him to go. You know, his development stunted. Obviously, he was playing first team for Sao Paulo last year, before we signed him, rather. And now he's languishing in the under-21s without a sniff of really getting into the first team. So I would send him on his way. And then it allows, people, obviously, Ezra has been playing for the under-21s, with obviously Michael Forbes going to Bristol Rovers rather. So his development will improve. Obviously, Kaelin's still around with involvement in the first team squad as well. But I imagine you're keeping your fitness level up by keeping it up with 21s, in my opinion, rather than just languishing on the bench. And then there's opportunities for the likes of Josh Briggs, maybe, to move up. Even Airdris. I mean, he's only 16, 17 lad, rather. But, he could come up and develop into the under-21s potentially on a more regular basis to improve his performance. So actually, I think it would be a good move for all parties. Elsewhere, it's also been reported that Emerson could be subject to a late interest from Galatasaray, who apparently wanted to sign a left back, and they were trying to sign Lucas Digne, but that fell through, and apparently turned their attention to Emi. However, we know that is extremely unlikely to happen. He is happy at the club, and the club are happy with him. So it would have to take an absolutely ridiculous offer for us to probably even consider it. I mean, he was actually linked to a move away in the summer to going back to Roma, but that didn't materialise. That was just rumours, as per usual. And it's an area which we're probably quite short on, particularly as the only replacement internally. Well, you have Ollie Scarles, but you've obviously got Aaron Cresswell as the only senior replacement. The only fly in the ointment, and it's just me not putting two and two together, but when Cress pulled out of the game against Bournemouth, they put Wan-Bissaka left back. So you can play there. I'm not saying he's going, but I'm just saying if a stupid bid came in, it won't be. It'd be a loan offer, if anything, because they haven't got time to get it all done by Friday anyway. But it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. But you could see Luizao still leave before end of play on Friday. And that's it, my friends. Hope you're all well. As I said, keep an eye on the channel. Keep an eye. That's better. Don't forget the big debate on tonight. I almost called it the mass debate. But I've been called a lot worse. And we'll have Hammer's headlines in a bit, talking about PSI, FFP, and also the Julian Lopetegui press conference ahead of the game against Fulham at the weekend. Until then, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble. Have a lovely lunchtime. Much love. Bye-bye.